after the Germans left from the Athens area, the Civil War started.
Yes.
And the communists were trying to take over Athens, but they got a lot of resistance from the local constabulary and all the other resistance forces. And finally the British landed also, and the Greek army came back from Egypt, started coming back. It didn't come back at that time. It was the British that came in first, and they, as the Germans were leaving Greece, they tried to move northward behind them, and I don't think they did any fighting against the Germans.
No, the Germans were leaving. They weren't fighting at the time.
Yeah, they were on their way out, and they were in a hurry because they were concerned that they'd be blockaded by the Russians in the north of Greece. But in any case, once the Germans left and the British moved up into the area around Lamia and above, there was comparative peace
for a few months.
Yeah.
2 or 3 months it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. It was October. No, it was just a couple of months because in January they did all the killings.
Yeah, but that's it wasn't until after January that I came back to.
When you came back, the communists were gone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but that was after the revolution.
Yeah, this is when I came back from Athens because I had gone to Athens to avoid getting conscripted, and I was going to school there. In any case, when I came back, I did work for the British Army for a while. I worked for what they call the malaria control unit. Actually, I was their interpreter. What they did is they hired a lot of Greeks to work for them, and what they were doing is they were going through some of the villages down in the valley below Lamia, and they were doing spraying of DDT, and which they used profusely then, just as they had used it before in other places, because there was a pretty severe malaria problem. There was a lot of mosquitoes and a lot of stagnant water in those areas. So that's what they did, what this unit did. They would go into people's homes and they would spray and literally spray all the walls and floors and everything else. And they'd spray into all stagnant waters. And they, in fact, eliminated the malaria problem from Greece at that time.
At that time, yes.
But of course, they didn't realize what kind of damage they were doing for in the long run.
But then again, although they stopped the malaria for many years, but now malaria has returned to that area.
Right.
People are suffering again.
Because they can't, they quit using DDT just like they have it here.
And they have nothing that they can use to
that's
get
as
rid
effective,
of it.
Right.
Yes. And people are suffering again from that. All right.
In any case, when I was working with them, I was eating pretty good. I ate in the non-commissioned officers' mess, as they called it.
Yes.
They ate a lot. They called it mutton, but we called it sheep because the Greeks really will only eat lambs.
Yes.
It's very seldom that they'll eat even mutton. But what the British eat is sheep. Their animals are as big as cows, and but it was good food. And they treated me pretty good. And of course, I brushed up my English then, and we got to be friendly with a lot of those guys. And then, of course, the British Army had taken over part of Aunt Mary's house, and they were living there.
Yes.
You remember that better than I do.
Yes, they had their officers' mess there, because Aunt Mary had a big house, plus in the backyard of the house, adjacent to the house, I should say, was a big warehouse, and they turned that into their kitchen. They had these portable stoves and ovens and stuff, and they used to cook for the officers that were in the area, and they used to cook them their breakfast, their lunch, their tea time, and then their dinner. And all these, there were 3 sergeants that ran the kitchen, and they were cooks. They were elderly people, and one of them, the one sergeant, I think he was the top sergeant, wasn't Eddie Cole the top one?
Yeah, I think so. He kind of led. Yeah,
he was the leader of the 3. He gave them orders. He took the orders from the officers and he gave them to them. Well, he was the one who, after we talked for a while, he knew that we couldn't correspond in any other way with Dad because the lines weren't open yet. So he wrote he put his address on the outside, so it would be a military letter, and I wrote the letter, and he sent it to Dad, and that was the first news that Dad got from us. He received the letter, and of course he wrote me, and in his letter he said he was very happy to receive our letter and to hear news from us, and to thank Sergeant Cole for writing the letter. And in Greek, he wrote everything in English, but in Greek he said, "Watch out for those soldiers," to me.
I think I must have worked for the British Army for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. I don't really remember. But I remember when I worked for him, I wear army fatigues. And
I remember the beret
he
used to wear.
And
when you worked for them
bad.
at that time, did you still see Bobby and the Mr. Clear and all them?
Oh,
did you see those guys? You did?
Yeah. Used to see them after work. Can't remember what they did. I don't know if this was, I remember this from before the war or during the war, but we used to go down in that big field by the hospital and play soccer down there. You remember that?
That must have been during the war years, yes, because we weren't there before the war. Yeah, I remember the big hospital.
Well, I don't know if it was before or after, but anyway, I can't remember when it was. But this is when we started calling Bobby
the stigma. Yeah.
The family catastrophe.
Remember how she used to make him wear knee highs so he wouldn't catch colds? Yeah. And he hated that. And he didn't. He wanted to put his pants on. Yeah. That was during the war years. Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember this one time, she came down there looking for him. His dad was home or something and they wanted to eat. But in any case, we were playing football. And he was wearing, his hair was blonde but straight, and it stuck straight out.
Just like a porcupine.
Like a porcupine, yeah. And he used to wear this stocking to hold it down. And we all were wearing pretty old clothes, and we were dirty and sweaty from the soccer game. So she recognized me, and she came up to me and she said, "Have you seen my Bobby?" And I said, well, there he is. And she turned in his direction and says, is that you, Bobby?
Well, wasn't it? Didn't she go to him first and he said, I don't know?
She may have. I can't remember.
I thought she went up to him. She didn't recognize him. And she said, have you seen my son? And he says, no, ma'am. And she came to you.
That could be.
And then she turned around. She was a nice lady.
She was.
He was a nut. Remember him jumping through over the walls to come and stay and talk with us and
during the curfew.
During the curfew.
Yeah.
And then Aunt Georgia would be afraid to make sure that he jumped all the walls to go home and not get hurt by the Germans.
And we had no way to communicate. He couldn't go home and call us on the telephone.
No telephone. Remember that now that you mention it? Remember we didn't even have telephones then?
No.
Or anything.
Yeah.
You wanted something, you had to go and tell the people, or there was no way you could communicate. I
remember one night there was a tavern down below the railroad tracks someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody from the underground must have gone in there and they killed somebody.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as the shots were heard by the guards down from the hospital where there were some Germans and Italians, they started firing in the air, machine guns. And we happened to be there. We were right by the tracks. We used to go down there and smoke.
Yes.
We weren't allowed to smoke anyplace else. But I remember getting down between them tracks, but you couldn't see any part of me. And it sounded like the bullets were flying all over the place.
They probably were. You guys were just lucky you didn't get hurt.
And we stayed there. We didn't move because we could hear a lot of commotion going on.
Mm-hmm.
Guys running back and forth. And some of the German guards came up and they shined flashlights down on us and they recognized us as being from the neighborhood.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, they knew you were a bunch of kids. Yeah. That was a dangerous time, though. Remember when these guys would come from up from the mountains and kill one German? Yeah. And then the Germans would just gather Greeks at random and shoot them?
Do you remember that family, that was just below La Mia? They owned a farm. And they went in there and there were, I think, 4 or 5 sons working the farm, and they shot them all. And but the one kid survived.
Yes.
Survived the shooting. And the Germans took him up to the hospital, and they saved his life.
That's right. You're right.
It's just that's how funny those people were.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw him later on, his part of his skull was missing.
Yes.
It was soft, and
yeah.
But
they saved him. They killed all the brothers because they claimed that these people were working with the Germans, and they weren't. They were just farmers. But because they didn't go to be with them, or maybe
the Germans shot them as a reprisal. This was a reprisal.
Oh, the Germans shot them.
Sure, the Germans shot them, and they left them laying there on the ground.
Well,
somebody walked back there and discovered that one boy was still living. He must have been in his middle teens. And they took him to the hospital.
And they saved him. But I'm thinking of the other family that they killed, and the one boy was half alive, and they took. But these were the communists that went and shot them. Yeah, and they left them lying right in the streets, and the Germans went and picked them all up. I was thinking of something else. Oh, the hospital that you said that was down there, the Germans and the Italians, made it a hospital for themselves. That was the orphanage that the Greeks had in Lamia. That was a big orphanage, and they used to, before the war. And then after the war, again, it became an orphanage.
Yeah.
Remember when the Italian officers used to play violin at night, and we used to sit in our balcony and listen to them?
Right, they sang.
They sang beautiful. That's where I learned, and I didn't learn all the words, of course, because I don't know them. The O Sole Mio.
Yeah.
And then Mama, they sang Mama. Mama ti voglio bene. I remember that. Questo parole d'amore. And then I don't remember the rest of it, but it was beautiful. They had beautiful voices. I felt so bad.
They're good musicians.
Yeah. I felt really bad for them when Italy got out of the war and out of the Axis. And then they just left those people there. Remember the one officer that Uncle Gus had working for him afterwards on the farm?
After the war, you mean?
Yeah. They were allowed to, because they didn't have food or anything, and they requested that they work. And he, at home, when he was at home, he was geoponus. What's that? Agriculturist?
Yeah, something like that.
Yes, and his father had a big ranch or farm or whatever it was in Italy. He came from he was a nice man. Do you remember him?
No, I don't. He may have left by the time I got back or something.
He did leave. Yeah. Uncle Gus even gave him a horse to go on his way. And he went.
Did he ever have contact with him after the war?
No. We don't know whether he made it there or whatever happened. But I think that the armies and stuff saw to it that these people went back to Italy. They were not prisoners of war, really.
Yeah.
Because they threw down their guns and they gave up. But
well, they were a pitiful lot, actually.
They were. Remember them standing on the streets and they were hungry?
Yeah. But before that, when they were working for the Germans, I remember that...
the Germans mistreated them then.
But they would toss us vegetables and stuff when the Germans weren't looking. They'd toss potatoes at us and cauliflower. I can't remember what it was, but we'd grab it. You know what they'd do is as they were unloading it from the trucks, they wore these great big baggy pants, and they used to throw them down in there, and then as they came by, they'd pull it out and they'd throw it at us when the Germans weren't looking.
Well, because at the end of the war, even the Germans were running out of food.
Yeah, but they used to have truck farm kinds of stuff, which they bring from Athens, where the big truck farms are.
Yeah.
As far as meat and things like that is concerned, they didn't have anything. They used to eat grease soup.
Yeah. Remember how those rotten potatoes that smell? They had all those potatoes in the Styriopoulos yard of the mill.
Yeah, they left.
And they rotted. And people were hungry, and they used to go and get the rotten potatoes to eat them. Boy, what a terrible thing that was. It was a sad thing, even with the Germans, to see them after they were such a proud bunch of people to be hungry and not to have much food to eat.
Yeah. Well, the Germans that really occupied the area, that were there permanently, they were regular army Germans. They depended on the SS troops to keep peace.
Yes.
And they used to come by through in convoys, but they didn't stay in the area. It was the regular army that stayed in the area. And all Germans were bad, but the regular army wasn't as bad as the rest of them. I remember once we went to, they used to use, or a group of them, used our church to have their services. They were Catholics. And I had never been, well, none of us had ever been to a Catholic service, but we walked in there one night quietly, and there was a group of them having Mass. It was a German priest in Mass. And
was that Agios Dimitrios?
Agios Dimitrios,
is that right?
Right.
I didn't know that.
And you know, the church was kind of half full, and we come in the back, and we were just watching. And they, I don't know if they knew we were there or not. They didn't pay any attention. But then this, of course, the Greek church isn't laid out like a Catholic church. And,
No.
But they had their own implements there and things. And all of a sudden, the priest went over to a chair he had set up next to him, and there was a little bell there. And he started ringing the bell. Ding-a-ding-ding, ding-a-ding-a-ding. And we thought that was so funny, we couldn't keep from laughing. And we scooted out of there in a hurry. But we weren't irreverent just with those guys. We used to do stuff like that in church when we went to the Greek church. We used to get tired of hearing the Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison being repeated over and over again, you know, and I thought that was funny, and we laughed, and they threw us out one day.
Yeah, well, you guys used to go and sing, too, in church, didn't you?
Yeah,
remember?
we did.
Yeah.
Of course, we got together and sang all the
time. Remember those girls, those two sisters? You guys used to go and sing, too.
Right.
Remember that?
Nick reminded me of that.
Those girls were so silly. Well, one of them was a pretty girl. The other one wasn't too much to look at. But they had a bad reputation, too. That's why you used to go and sing to them.
We did it as a joke.
Right? I know you did. I know.
We might as well put it on the record. We used to sing Naspas metapatera, estas katana peso.
Are you going to translate that for the kids?
No, no translation. You have to work it out yourselves. Maybe Anna can translate that for the kids.
Okay.
Somehow we had gotten this recipe on how to make a loud firecracker.
Oh.
And so we bought the ingredients and we put them all together. I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of crystal. And we wrapped it. We took probably too much of it, and we mixed it with fine gravel, and we wrapped it in heavy brown paper. We wrapped it up in a package, pretty tightly packed. I mean, that was according to the instructions. And then we
now, who was this? This was you and Georgia Corlides. Oh,
And remember how the house had a porch on the front of it,
veranda,
where you entered. And underneath the porch on one end, there were some steps underneath that would go down into the basement.
Yes.
Remember? And what we did is we set this package that we had made we put some string around it too to hold together tightly. We put that down on the step that went down to the basement.
Yes.
Okay. And on top of that, we found a large flat rock stone, a big one. Probably, I remember it might have been a foot or so square. So we set that thing on the step, and then we put this rock on top of it. And then we went up
to the house.
Over it. We went up to the balcony, so we could look down on it from the balcony. And we had another large stone, which we finally just dropped down there. And when we dropped that down there, it went, the house shook. There was nobody home. Those big stones that we had used just broke up into smithereens. It cracked the step going down to the basement. But the worst thing was that they made such a loud noise.
Yes, how about the woman next door? Didn't she come out screaming?
We tore out of there so fast, we didn't wait to see anything. Nobody got wind of it, really.
Good thing you didn't get killed.
We went out to see if anybody was coming. And there was, we could see people looking our direction from 2-3 blocks away, but nothing happened. Never told anybody about it. We were too scared to say anything about it. I don't know if George ever told anybody, no. But
did you remember this when you saw him? What a scary thing.
No, I didn't remember.
You could have gotten killed.
Because it wasn't a firecracker, it was a bomb.
A bomb.
It was really something else.
Oh, it's a good thing you guys didn't stand on top of it to hit it.
Yeah.
Then you would have been killed.
That would have been terrible.
This, I don't know if I've ever told you the story about this Easter, that after you had left, we went to Lamia to spend Easter with Aunt Mary and her family. So I was about 20 years old then, and Chris was 15. And you know how in Greece in those times they used to dye a lot of dozens and dozens of eggs, because if you had any godchildren, your godchildren were supposed to come and wish you happy Easter, and then you would load a basket and give it to them to take home and stuff. So they had hundreds of eggs that had been dyed. So, and it was in this remember this little storage room that they had in the Kugeko house?
Next to the kitchen.
Next to the kitchen. So they had them in there in these large baskets, like laundry baskets. They were filled with the eggs. So one of the days that I was there with Chris, it was a couple of days before Easter. So Chris and I went in, and we cracked a few eggs, which wasn't right to do because it hadn't been Easter yet. But as we started cracking the eggs, we continued, and we had fun, and we cracked every one of those eggs. And then we snuck out of the room there, and we didn't say a thing because we were both going to be killed. Then when they went in and they saw them, they were pulling their hair out, Aunt Mary and Tia Stavrula. They didn't know who did it. Of course, Chris and I never, even till today, I'm sure I never told the Theas about it. And I have whenever I went to Greece, I always forgot to ask Chris if he remembers what we did. To turn it off.
During the summer, we used to raise watermelons, and that field was some distance away from where the shack was.
Yes.
And remember, we had a platform built up in the air.
Yes, to watch so nobody would come in.
Yeah, you could oversee for some distance from there. So I'd go out there and just stay there and watch, especially during the night. During the day, we didn't spend very much time there. But at night, we'd stay there, which was a time when people would be apt to come and steal. But anyway, I was there early one morning, and I got hungry, so I thought I'd eat the watermelon. And I ate it, and I broke it up, and I ate the whole thing. I was really stuffed. And then, this is just about when I got done, I heard whistling. That's the way Uncle Gus used to communicate. You know,
yes.
When he'd want me to be up there,
he used to whistle.
Put 2 fingers in his mouth and then whistle. And I tried to get up, and I couldn't get up. I was just stuffed. So I knew he was going to get mad after a while. But I just couldn't get up. He kept whistling and whistling. But then finally I got up, and I really had to struggle to get over there. But I made it over there. Finally, after a while, I went to the bathroom and got rid of that watermelon. I was really stuck. It's what happens to you when you're hungry and thirsty. You tend to overdo things.
Yeah,
well, that watermelon was almost as big as I was.
Yeah, well, the thing was, though, that we used to take these things and eat them when he wasn't around because he wouldn't allow us to have any. This is why we had to sneak them and do these things. I used to do that with, what was his name? Was it Spiro was his name? And his wife? There used to be Thanasis and his wife. Right. I used to bring the watermelon, and they would cut it, and then we would all eat it when he would be out of the way because he didn't want us to have the stuff.
Yeah, when we'd move a watermelon out of the patch, we'd have to watch it and make sure that it didn't look like it was missing.
Yeah.
Straighten the earth up and the vines. And those things were really cool in the morning. It's funny, but it could be in hot weather. Usually fruit is cool in the morning. It's the same way with figs. The big figs early in the morning, and they're nice
the best. Cool. Yes, that's why they go and they cut them in the morning. How about the time? You remember the time that you and Georgia went up to through Larissa to go to Thessaloniki because Uncle Bill was being court-martialed. Do you remember that trip?
We ended up finally in Kozani. Remember what that was?
Yeah. But,
I don't remember that trip, but the important part of the trip, or the significant part of the trip, was when we were going through Larissa. We just stayed there overnight. We intended to stay there overnight. We stopped there at a little hotel, and we were going to leave the next morning by another truck or bus. But we had gotten up in the morning. We were getting ready. It must have been before 6 o'clock. And just as we were washing up in the morning, a earthquake started. Real rumbling. You know, I don't know if you know how an earthquake is like, but it's very loud rumbling. And all I had a chance to say, I remember saying that. I said, Panayim, which is Most Holy Mother. That's the equivalent of it anyway. And then I must have passed out. When I did come to, and my Aunt Georgia was there moving around, you know, and I don't know if she was screaming or not, or crying or what, but anyway, I had to remove my head from under a cornerstone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And when and of course there was no roof over us. And I think we were up in the second floor. And we were, the floor was kind of cantilevered out from the walls. But once you got almost to the door of the bedroom we were in, there was nothing left. There no stairway, no nothing. We finally had to get down from the little balcony that was in this hotel.
How did you climb out? Did the fire department put a ladder or something?
They put a ladder finally. We had to wait a while. And there were aftershocks, you know.
Yes. Did you realize that it was an earthquake at the time, or did you think that there were the planes bombing?
No, I think we knew it was an earthquake because there was no other noise other than the rumbling. And the lights were on. And I couldn't tell you whether or not I could tell when they went off or not. I just kind of lost consciousness almost immediately.
Well, that rock
but you can consider,
hit you.
You know, the whole ceiling came down over us. We were just full of dust. And there was nothing over us. You could see the sky.
Yeah.
Just the front wall of the building. And as I said, the floor for about half of the room, maybe a little more, was cantilevered out from that wall. That's the only thing that was holding that up. And we were finally taken down out of there. And of course, everything was shut down. We couldn't leave right away. So we went someplace and got cleaned up outside. You know how they have fountains outside all over Greece.
Yeah.
And that's where we cleaned up. And then after a while, we went into a place where we could get some yogurt. But then right in the middle of when we were eating, there was another aftershock and everybody ran outside. But there wasn't much more damage after that. A lot of people were killed there.
Yeah.
Right in the hotel.
Right, yeah. I remember Aunt Georgia said that she was ready to go into the bathroom, and she went to the door, but somebody was in there, and then this started, and the person that was in the bathroom was killed right there in the bathroom. So she was lucky that she didn't go in that time. Yeah. But she had hurt her thumb, and it got infected, and she still can't move the thumb.
Yeah.
There, yeah. And then
we went on from there. We went.
You did end up in Thessaloniki or Kozani, wherever it was.
Yeah, wherever it was, we went to. We went up through Thessaloniki, which is quite a ways east of Kozani. So we had to go further west to get into Kozani. We got pretty close to the border. Really.
Well, that's the border up there. Yeah. Kozani, Thraki, all that stuff is.
Right, and I don't remember what happened there. She must have had some money with her and paid off some people, and we finally came back. It was a hectic trip, but she bought me new clothes, in order to make that trip.
Yeah.
She didn't have it. But and we bought some socks from some Jewish people in Thessaloniki. She was telling me about. I learned about how you deal with them in the morning.
Yes, you go there first person in the store, and they won't let you go until you buy. Right. Yes, she knew that. And
it's funny, but we really didn't know anything about what was going on about the Jewish people. I had no inkling.
No.
Of what had happened to the Jewish people, even the Greek Jews.
No, nobody
I had
knew.
no inkling about it.
Because nobody
there were so few of them, it's such a small minority.
But they, the Germans took almost all of them to the concentration camps. Yes, they did.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, it was bad, but nobody knew anything. Right. Even when we were reading magazines later, they were unbelievable. We couldn't believe that these things actually happened.
I wanted to tell you one thing I remember about that area in Kozani. When we finally got there, we bought some apples. Their apples were as big as cantaloupes. I mean, they were really, really big apples. I don't know what kind they were, but they were really good, kind of a tart apple.
I don't know if you remember anything about what was in Yaya's house, but most of the things that we had brought from the United States, albums and things, were all there. So when the house was bombed, everything was destroyed, and so we don't have any of our baby pictures or anything that we had then. But when you went to Greece, Aunt Georgia gave you some of Mother's handwork. It was, she had painted the words "Good luck, Katie" and "Good luck, Taki" on this satin material. And Aunt Georgia had saved those because they had been in the Athens house, and that's how they were saved. Mother was very good with handwork. She embroidered, she crocheted, she did embroidering on the sewing machine, and she did a lot of burning. She designed things with a burning stick on wood. On wood. Yeah, on wood. She did it on wood, and then she would paint these things and make pretty jewelry boxes. She used to take the cigar boxes from that were emptied from Dad's store. They used to be wooden then, and they used to have a little clip there that locked it. So she used to take them and do this burning designs on the outside and paint them, and then inside she used to line them with satin and even stick a little mirror on the top, the opening of the box, and she used to give them to friends for Christmas gifts and things like that. She was very handy, which of course I can't say about myself. I wish I had the 10th of her knowledge in handwork. She used to sew all my clothes, and she used to make shirts for you. She didn't make your clothes because you wouldn't wear them anyway if she did. And she used to make Dad's ties, too.
Did I have any choice?
You did. You did.
Oh, I remember going to school with the fur coat. Kids all laughing at me. And
but that was the style. They laughed at you because... Right? Well, she didn't want us to catch a cold. And you were her pride and joy, the apple of her eye. So she had to keep you healthy. Yeah. I don't know if we talked about when the bombs fell and they burnt grandmother's house. After we went to see, we could see all the porcelain dishes and the silver melted down the walls. Remember that? That was something. They had put everything down in that shelter, which was really a wine cellar, but it worked as a shelter for us when the planes would come to bomb. And then when the house was bombed, that was all burnt and there was nothing left.
Luckily, we weren't in the house.
Yes, we had left and we had gone to Ipati. Well, I think the whole town of Lamia was warned to leave because the Germans were coming, and every city that they went into before the soldiers came in, they used to go and bomb the cities first, and then they would enter.
Yeah, they had dropped leaflets a few days before they actually bombed.
Yeah. And of course they did the same thing when they were leaving 4 years later. They warned everybody to leave the city because they were going to put all their ammunition on fire and burn it because they couldn't take it with them. And of course some of the bombs would explode, and they warned the civilians to move out so they wouldn't get killed. And then again we went up to the mountains. But of course you were in Athens there. You don't know. We went up to a Yeparaskivi. Remember the little church up in the mountains?
Yeah.
And we stayed there. First we were camping out in the yards of these different people who lived up there. They had these little houses. But when nightfall came, everybody took people in their homes. And there we were in this lady's house, and some of us were under the tables, and some of us were under the chairs. There wasn't room for everybody, but it was nice of them to take us in. And then finally, when we saw the last German tanks and soldiers moving out, and the last motorcycles, we started down the road again to go back to Lamia. But we didn't go to the house, but we kept on walking, and we went to Bardatis, to Uncle Gus's farm. And as